spinning for the call of the bullpen.
20. I'm sure in this neighborhood we find something.
Chris raises a 20 here.
I'm a cab driver. I know what it is. Ah,
And Brad picks up 9s.
Wow, Brad is just a card wreck tonight.
65.
Well, as long as he doesn't pull the straight tonight, he should be in good shape.
Ooh, there it is.
Somebody had to mention it.
Sure.
$45 for Chris to call. He lets it go.
I mean, Brad has not lost a hand yet. I mean, playing King Jack out of position is probably not the best idea.
I think we've been doing under the gun. I don't know.
I think they could figure out how to do them.
He's done that several times. He's raised, and if he's got re-raised, he just lets him go.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, I think it's good to point out, guys, and I'll just do it as opposed to asking you to do it. That you guys archive all your shows on your YouTube channel because they're all there, and you've done 6 or 7 episodes of them. So if you like this, you can always go and just do a search on Poker on Air, right? A Rubber City Cash Game on YouTube.
Yeah, you can either go to YouTube or we actually have our own site, pokeronair.com.
Okay.
Just go there. We have all of our shows archived. If you don't want to come to Twitch, either way, it's all recorded in full HD. So you can come to our site, pokeronair.com, check out all of our old broadcasts.
Usually takes us a few days to get the current one up, but
yeah, so
I think last week it just took like a day to get part 1 up, and then 2 days to get part 2 up or something.
Yeah, because it does take quite a while to upload files this big.
It's like a dealer thing.
Yeah, stupid.
Is the Strato back on, or did Carl open a gun here?
I missed it. I was listening and wasn't paying attention.
I feel like Carl opened a gun, or else I don't think he would be betting here.
No, I think you're right. Chris called. And again, you know, Carl puts out a C bet, and you see Chris float with King Queen. That's something you're almost never going to see at a 2-5 game. You know, just Chris recognizing that it might be a pretty good board for Carl to C bet, and he's going to call and see what he does. And you know, if Carl bet again, he would just fold. But now that Carl he knows that Carl's not going to probably check an ace all that much, so Carl checks and Chris bets, and Carl's going to fold. You know, Chris didn't know that he actually had the best hand with King High, but.
I know one thing. I'm never playing cards with about 5 of these guys.
Yeah, definitely a tough game here for this type of level for sure.
Looks like we got about 50 minutes or so to go. For those wondering how late we were going to go. We go every Tuesday from 7 to 11 Eastern Time.
We hope to add other ones. We had a special game this past Sunday that was all ladies.
Just checking my Twitter. I keep forgetting that I'm on the camera all the time too.
It's alright, we forget at times as well. Usually we're not picture in picture just often. This hand will be brought to you by PokerFitness.tv. If you guys are looking to gain a little core strength and do some things to your body that can help you with longer grind sessions at the casino, go to PokerFitness.tv. We'll show you some yoga moves and poses to help your flexibility and help you out for longer sessions at your local casino or play online, either way. Now I wish I could pop off this chair and do a few moves because I'm getting a little tight in the back.
I was too, sitting out there doing them chips, sitting up in that stool, just killed me.
Oh, is that you doing it on the iPad?
Early, yeah.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a rotation.
Yeah, we have more than one job most of the time.
Yeah, when you got about 7-8 people in your crew, you gotta start learning other jobs. So you help out wherever you can.
Zach makes it 15.
Is Pete leaving or is he coloring out?
He might be leaving.
Maybe he even identifies that the game isn't quote unquote all that good in the sense of, you know, for profit. It's definitely a tough game.
Also, before he got here, he'd been up almost 40 hours.
Oh, well, there you go.
I think he might be getting tired.
Yeah, I think he's what, some sort of med student, right?
Yeah,
Going to school for something in the medical field.
And plays poker a lot.
We're just talking about the first.
So he's either studying or playing poker for the last 2 days. Ooh.
Then Brad catches up.
Hey, check called the flop with ace-6. Now the turn is an ace. And I think for Zach, Zach's betting the turn here to like check behind on the river just to charge some of the draws. Brad's going to check raise here.
What?
You know, against a guy like Zach, who I've been pretty impressed with, that seems like a pretty skilled player. And again, this is where sometimes seeing the cards can be a little bit, you know, it's tough to be totally objective when you can see the cards. But I think that might be a little bit of an overplay to check raise ace-6 there, because I don't know if he's calling with a single paired ace. When I want overplay, I mean like you're gonna get everything weaker than your hand to fold and only better to continue on.
Mm-hmm.
I almost would maybe rather just check call the turn and maybe check call the river to let him value bet an ace himself at the end. But
A teaching moment for Brad for when he goes back to watch.
But I think that, you know, if Brad plays a lot of 1-2 and stuff, the play's fine. You know, this is a very unique, you know, situation.
Yeah, definitely gonna probably get a lot more calls into 1-2
Yeah.
level.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Pete is exiting, looks like. So that money will be gone from the table.
Looks like we're going to sweeten the pot this hand.
Sweeten the pot, guys.
Tell him, Paul. What's it all about?
We had some pineapple upside down cupcakes from
Ooh.
Jess Desserts.
He did not.
Nice.
Did you sample one yet?
I did sample one. They're very good.
What kind of frosting is it then? Is it pineapple?
It's just pineapple. Yep. Pineapple with a cherry on it.
Pineapple frosting too over like a pineapple, you know,
It's just
cupcake?
it's a plain cupcake with pineapple frosting.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's just an upside down cake.
Winner, winner.
You know, I've heard upside down, like, but I think I just faked my life
Oh.
actually knowing what upside down cake was. I never really knew what it was. Is it because it's upside down?
Yeah, exactly. They turn the cake upside down and put the,
Wow, you learn something every day.
the pineapple
Jeez.
on the bottom of the cake.
So what? Somebody's reading the instructions incorrectly one time, and it was a happy accident.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Turned out good. That's all I know.
We had quite the cupcakery craze in LA, or I think in major cities actually over the last few years. It's kind of toned itself down, but
Yeah, it
Well,
was.
that-
That is like a tidal wave of cupcake places everywhere,
right.
and I think they're like, oh wait.
Well, that's
yeah,
why it's
someone's
just
not going
now
to go and
getting
buy a
to Akron.
cupcake every single day, right, to sustain a business.
Yeah. I think there was something to do with like LeBron's announcement of coming back to Cleveland that had to do with cupcakes.
Yeah, he
So
did.
I forget how it all shook out, but there was some sort of cupcake.
He bought a ton of cupcakes for his neighbors for all the media traffic.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. So the day he announced his home out here near Akron was attacked by fans basically up and down the street. So he ended up buying all his neighbors some cupcakes and to appease them. But if they're good Cleveland fans, him coming back should have been enough.
But that just goes to show you how out of it we are here in Akron.
Now, Troy, you asked me about Donk leading here, so you can see that Zach actually, I believe, called Brad pre, and then Donk led that flop with the best hand. So I think what Zach's trying to do is actually thinks that Brad's going to call him with like ace highs and overcard cards, so he's not going to just let it go check, so he just leads for value with a 7, which is the best hand. I mean, these guys are short now, so short-handed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Yeah. 35.
I mean, it is nice. Like, I've talked about playing with Pratt before. It is nice to kind of see. I mean, he's playing a ton of hands. So I'm getting a pretty nice little sample size on what he does here. I never would have pegged him as a guy that would flow with King Queen there.
They would have just called the flop, you mean?
Yeah, I just didn't put him. I figured he's kind of like fit or fold with King Queen type hands on those kinds of flops, but seeing him peel one there was
right. So
surprising.
when you were asking me before, let's say he is super fit or fold, like he would fold King Queen, and you called like with a hand like 4 or 5 suited in the big blind, right? Then you could just donk lead the flop, and then he would just fold. You see what I'm saying? So there's two couple different reasons to do it.
All right, so Brad makes it 25. Carl just flats it. Looks like Carl must have straddled.
Straddles, yeah. I was gonna say this has got to be straddles here. What is a tiny raise size on a straddle pot?
Quite tiny.
Again, even heads up on a board like this with ace-4. I don't know if I'm gonna c-bet this. Unless you're trying to fold out weaker better ace highs that aren't really that strong, I don't see you getting a ton of fold throughs here. And the times that you do fold through, you are ahead anyways. I mean, there definitely is something to be said that, you're just not letting free cards off, and you kind of prevent your opponent from just betting and bluffing you out on the turn. But I just wonder if people sometimes even go through that thought process. Wow, and a double barrel here from Brad on a not really a great card. Again, surprising. Carl calls again. I thought he would have just shut it down.
Let's see if he can go 3. No.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like when he sized his double barrel there on the turn to be 75, unless he's planning on firing all 3 streets, I don't quite understand the bet. Because I don't think that 75 with what the pot size was is going to get he's going to get Carl off of a 9.
Right.
So if you can't get him off of a 9 on the turn, then you have to bet the river if you're going to use that sizing. Otherwise, don't bet the turn.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the leaks that lower stakes. I mean some higher stakes players that they don't think ahead enough. They have this like, oh, I'm supposed to c-bet, or I should just keep betting because I'm bluffing. They don't think about, well, what's the pot size going to be by the time I get to the river? Like, do I have like the right ammunition in my gun to get them to fold or get them to call? So it's just, there has to be a prepared plan in place for what you're going to be doing on each street.
Going to give a shout out here to my crushlivepoker.com administrator Rimdog, who's now in the Twitch chat.
We saw Rimdog definitely last Tuesday, but I feel like that name popped up on Sunday as well.
He might have. He loves all this kind of stuff. He's been an integral part of our company's growth with our, the way that our website works and the way the content is delivered in just kind of a stream flow, mobile friendly manner.
Right. I think Carl folded. It's just Jesse and Joe heads up here.
Nope, Carl called. Oh, maybe he did. Okay. They just missed it on the iPad. Oh,
wow, this is an interesting.
This could be
here.
Fun.
I mean, Jesse with Jesse with King Queen, obviously a pretty good flop for that, and Joe with Ace Jack. It's a very draw heavy board. I'm kind of surprised that Jesse called the 3-bet from Joe when Joe's only about 7. He started the hand with only like, maybe 125 big blinds. I mean, calling with King Queen off is pretty speculative. And now Joe's got a decision here. I mean, Joe went out and bet, and Jesse's raised him. And it's like, yeah, well, Ace Jack's the best hand right now, but what kind of range do you put Jesse on, you know, opening, calling your 3-bet, and now raising this type of flop, I would say that if you run a reasonable range, you're usually probably toast here. You can see right now Jesse's actually a small favorite. I mean, the only thing that you're doing well against is a hand like King Jack or Queen Jack, and a lot of times people don't even call with those hands. But Joe's just going to get it in. I mean, people played so aggressively today, and the board's so draw heavy. I guess he just figures, you know what, whatever, I just get it in. But I think in the end, I don't know if I like that play. Turns the 8 of diamonds, and the river is a 4.
Ace Jack holds up.
Yep.
Oh, actually, they ran it twice.
Oh, okay.
We didn't see the second one, but
Did it chop?
yep, chopped it up. Which is gonna screw with our calculations of people's stacks, but maybe they can rectify that here quickly.
So also too, I think that a lot of people don't realize, guys, that you usually you need someone manually to fold out the cards with this type of computer program. So you guys are doing that from your iPad out there too as well. You're folding out the hands.
Yes,
Is that
At
right?
times, well, there's the 2 folding areas on the table.
Okay.
But you can, so if that doesn't pick it up, you can do it manually.
And you have that in your iPad?
Yeah.
That's okay.
So kind of whatever gets there first.
If you're on top of the situation, you usually can fold it first.
To be honest with you, I don't know if it already.
The pot
With
was
the iPad.
whoever had the lowest stack times 2
Plus 45.
plus 45. But I don't know.
Do you guys let him run it twice at the 1-2 game, or is it just?
If it was up to me, I wouldn't. But
Yeah.
sometimes it just happens. I think in the PLO game they were running it twice every now and again.
Sure.
But those stacks were just pretty massive.
Yeah, 1-2, I would never run it twice.
I think as they were saying though, I mean, a lot of these guys are just average dudes, so you know, $500 swings, $600 swings are pretty significant to them. So I can understand, and plus they're on TV, so you know they've seen it on all the TV shows, so they just want to be a part of it. So I mean, it's not like I'm upset they do it. It's just you know, a little funny.
Well, from your perspective, if you have enough players to continue the broadcast on all the time, it doesn't matter. But the whole reason why running it more than once started, and a lot of people don't understand the story, is because it helped the house. You know, back in the day, whatever, when they were playing, you know, No Limit Hold'em in Texas, you know, you might only have 8 guys playing. Well, if one of the guys goes bust, the game might break up just because it gets short. So somebody came with the idea that you can run it more than once, where the equities don't change. It keeps the people in action for the game. You know what I mean? So I know like a lot of LA home games that love to encourage it too, because they don't want to break the game. For guys like you, that maybe if you only have 8 guys there and somebody leaves, and then now another guy gets it all in, and if he goes bust, the game might break. That's the whole purpose of actually running it more than once. A lot of people don't know that, to keep the game going.
I think some of the people that are running it twice are not even thinking about it. That's like, oh, I just want to have a chance
for
at my
them
money.
it's just to decrease the variance.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
but
for
for us,
whoever's
it's
running
almost
the game.
encouraging
Yeah.
for us to do it, just because we don't always have someone waiting in the wings to get on the
Right.
table,
Sure.
as much as people should be wanting to get on there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not this table, depending on your opinion of the players.
By the way, these little patches I'm gonna have in my booth.
Like-
Anyone can come up and get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Crash
So,
Light Poker booth. So
All you fans out there in the chat room, head out to Vegas this summer. Bart will be there at his booth. Prime real estate, I hear.
yes, very prime real estate, and then we're gonna be doing commercials on the WSOP.com stream as well. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Will you be on the stream ever with Dave, or is he can be doing it?
Yeah, usually. Well, I mean, I usually go on there at least a few times a year. So whenever he asks me, but I mean, I've got such a full slate of stuff.
That's
this
what I was
year, though.
wondering, like how
Playing
much
like in every
actual free
tournament.
time you
So
had.
yeah, I mean, it's just like one of these things where, you know, if I bust out early and, you know, the next day's slow or something, I'll go in there.
Do you have a preference what you commentate on? Would you rather do Omaha over Hold'em or vice versa?
Beat that.
Well, they only have cards for the Hold'em.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they only have cards up for the Hold'em. Doing cards down is,
I'll figure, you know, keep it
you know, it's okay, but I mean,
in that.
like if they said, hey, you know, do you want to do the 10,000 Omaha 8 final table? You know, Phil Ivy's on there, a couple other names. Obviously, you know, yeah, I would love to do that, but Like last year, I did the 3K no limit because I made it to the. I got like I don't know 25th or something like that, and then in the Million Maker the year before, I went really deep. I got 16, so I did that too. So those are interesting ones because those are like really big money at the end.
Yeah.
And that first Million Maker was most of those guys hadn't even made like a final table ever in any tournament.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this year with all these huge tournaments, it's going to be a very, very busy and big thing. Every single
Definitely.
weekend is just
Right.
going to be crazy, crazy, crazy.
Heads up, guys.
I do think there's actually another sweet in the pot action.
Is
I
there?
think I saw some more cupcakes out there.
They want to get rid of all the cupcakes.
Which is funny. The last time we did it, or last 2 times we did it, it was one pre-flop, which has happened like 2% of the time tonight. So actually, people are actually gonna have to fight for this one.
That is 50.
Did he go check on the flop and then bet 50?
That's what it looks like. Yep.
That is 150.
Raise on the turn. Sandy
Standard,
bluff number 5.
standard operating procedure tonight.
Wow. Huh. Yeah. Like I said, for any new people that are coming in and watching this right now, this is not a game that I would play in, especially at 2-5. I could find much better games. And what I mean by that is that the players are not weak. When you're playing poker for profit, obviously you want to try to find the tables with the weakest players, the ones that lose the most amount of money. That's game selection, right?
Right.
I could find a much better 5-10 game than this in LA in terms of. It's definitely been entertaining to watch in terms of skill level. I'm just saying that if you were your everyday guy who's trying to profit from poker, I would absolutely pass at this game, especially at the 2-5 level for sure.
I'm sure all these guys, once they watch this video later on, they will be thoroughly happy to hear all your accolades you've been giving them. But I'm guessing at this point they probably know that they're well above average.
Well, one of the things that I found that's unequal compared to, like, say, for example, the Midwest or Ohio versus LA is that, I'd go so far as to say as it looks like Zach c-bets 10s and gets called by worse, by the way, with King 4. Now he turns a set, but it is a third club.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's trying to figure out, well, should I bet it? Should I check it? How much of this guy's range is flush draws? How much is it of aces? I'm going to bet it again.
He's knocked his chip over like 15 times.
Yeah.
They are new chips. They are a little slick.
Very slick.
Let's see if Jesse has devious plans. Not
Yeah, he
today.
just gives it. No, what I was saying was that I would imagine that in Cleveland, the biggest game around a lot of times is a 2-5 no limit game, probably.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean 5-10 rarely gets
Yeah,
off.
very
Yeah,
seldom.
so I mean, you're playing with guys that are playing the biggest game around. Now, in LA, the biggest game around is going to be 10, 20, or 20, 40 no limit. So the skill level of your average 2-5 player is not going to be anywhere near. It is here where these guys, some of the best players in Ohio, are playing 2-5. That's all that's here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
Just a bit of an economy situation. There's just more people with
oh, absolutely, that
endless
too.
pockets.
Yeah.
I know at the Horseshoe, they very seldom even get 2-5 tables going.
15.
I mean, I think actually maybe part of the problem is a lot of these guys are up there, 5 days a week. So you get any guys come up there to take a stab and they're felted in 30, 40 minutes. It's gonna be hard to encourage new players to come into this to that kind of arena. Which I think is actually what they were talking about is the reason why they dropped the max buy-in down, because these guys were up there just crushing everyone, so they kind of wanted to, I guess, level the playing field a little bit.
3 players. Set. Set. 25.
There's a situation where it's checked to the button and they take a stab at it.
Sorry, how much? 25?
25.
I think Joe's definitely changed gears almost probably the most out of everybody. He came out early on with like doing some different things, and he's just kind of hung back after that.
Sometimes they do like a little interview section. No, he's not. Usually, you know, Bobby Miller. I haven't seen. I don't think he's there.
Nice to see your boy Rimdog pretty active in the chat, keeping everybody in line.
Well, he was in Cleveland a few weeks ago, and he said that the PLO game was really good. I mean, that doesn't surprise me if PLO's new to the area.
Well, a lot of these guys play a lot of PLO that are in this game just because they can't get the action anywhere else. That's why the PLO game picked up there.
Well, yeah, I mean, the 2-5 PLO game is going to play like bigger than a 5-10 no limit game. So if they're trying to play bigger, you know. But that's interesting though. You know, if they make all these $5 no limit games 500 cap, I think that you'll find that you're going to start getting 5-10s and stuff. Then it must. I mean, it's got to be. There's probably no need to it when there's only a 2K cap on the game.
You're betting a call here. Check bet call, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, Jesse takes a card. He turns open-ended. And now, you know, if front door spades had bricked out and I was Chris, I would absolutely bet, try to make it look like I busted a spade draw. But now spades come in, so it's kind of tough to bet out and get called by ace high, and it just goes check, check.
Yeah, Jesse thought about it. He thought about reaching down there and pulling the trigger, but thought I'd just lick his wound and wait for another hand.
Yeah, it's funny. Bart mentioned about trying to get a 5-10 game going up there. I just noticed today that they're offering a reduced rake, trying to get the 5-10 games going too.
I can't remember the last time I went like never above 1100 and never below 900 without adding out in my pocket in like 3 hours.
They've been trying.
This is just quite a difference to go from playing 2-5, 2,000 cap, and then all of a sudden the next day the casino changes it to 500 cap.
Yeah, I wonder if there was any discussion with any of the regs. If or they just did it on their own accord there.
Oh wow! Gonna raise a couple callers and Chris picks up queens.
Raise 55.
I hear 55, 65.
65, I thought. Yeah, 65.
I like how fast Zach always acts. He's just, he's in there. Joe comes along as well. Nice size pot already.
3 players.
Set mining.
Well, the opposite happens.
Yeah.
Yep, top set here for Chris.
Chris gets a little bit unlucky that no one connects whatsoever after he flops top set in a 3-bet pot. Is that a 3-bet or 4-bet pot?
That was a 3-bet pot.
Okay. Make sure I didn't miss anything.
Just had a few people call the raise.
Yeah, I think we still have maybe the straddle on. He just bumped it up a little bigger.
Time to go live straddle.
Oh, no straddling?
No, here. Jesse's strategy?
Yeah, that was a spot where most of the time you're seeing the 1-2 games up in Cleveland. When they flop top set, they're always checking, trying to check raise it.
Well, that just comes from people that are inexperienced, playing low level, no limit, where, I mean, it's actually they're almost accidentally playing correctly because the shorter total stacks that you have, effective stacks, right, the more you can kind of play trappy. But the more that you play no limit cash games, the more that you realize that it's about getting the most amount of money in with the best hand as opposed to trying to like play some sort of trap game. And, you know, if you make it in poker and you move up, you learn that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on fire. Just like,
Zach just kind of bets out and takes it down. I mean, if you want to look at people that are the best players and, you know, your player pool, whoever's watching out there, take a look and see when the people that are the big winners in your player pool, when they make kind of nuttish hands or strong hands, they're always dragging in a big pot. And the players that aren't good players are always dragging in a small pot, and they're losing the big pots, which is obviously not what you want to do.
Exactly.
So,
looks like this straddle's off again. So Joe makes it 20 under the gun. Ace Jack.
Yeah, it's just a hit or miss thing now. Whoever's wanting to put it on.
I wonder if Maverick is out there watching somewhere.
He's in San Diego this week.
Yeah. They have computers in San Diego, I believe.
Like an ace and jack hand or something? Ace king. And I had, like I said, the day before, I had like king down. I was all done.
Looks like our action got a little screwy there. Alright, so Chris called.
Flops top pair.
The pot is definitely not $17.
no.
Yeah, because you
Definitely
bet
not.
20, didn't you?
Guessing $47 or so.
Oh man, what a fucking king card. I thought you could
Betting a call?
Chuck couldn't afford the jack. Chuck would have Oh yeah.
Keep betting.
This is kind of Joe we saw early on. I mean, he was the one with more value hands, but he was just barreling a lot more frequently.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he might think that Chris would fold a pair now, like of 6s, 5s, 4, or something like that. It's usually not the best, you know, barrel card in terms of being the 9 of diamonds here.
There's actually a picture of it leaked last week. And I didn't admit this anymore.
Well, this is interesting now because, you know, you wonder if Joe thinks he's got the best hand here.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if Joe checks and Chris bets, see, this is what we talk about a lot of stuff in my Crush Live Poker training. You can make the case here for Joe that this river is a check fold. You could make the case that it could be a bet for value if you think you can get called by worse, like a small pair. But if you check here and Chris bets, most of the time, now it might be a little bit different at this table, but, you know, 19 out of 20 times, Ace Jack's not good. Because what is a guy betting here? So it's not bad to check on the river with the intention of check folding, but you've got to realize that in this type of situation, it can go check and you can win the pot. But you've got to use this information. It's another part of the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's betting. So do I have the best hand here now? Just because I ran into a jack doesn't really mean anything. He called me on the flop. He called me on the turn. He could have a queen. He could have an 8. You know, he could have had jack 10. You know, is he betting 9-10 on the river here? No. You know, so I mean, you know, all those things, you know, would go through my head if I'm
Right.
Joe.
Can we get a shot at Joe? See what he's looking like over there?
There we go.
And again, you know, it's a spot where I've learned that, yes, commentators can definitely be skewed by seeing the cards, but I'm trying to get myself in Joe's spot. And he makes the correct way down. It's just, you know, Chris would have had to have double floated me, basically, with nothing, and then bet the river. It's just so unlikely.
Joe just seems the kind of guy he doesn't like folding. He doesn't mind like raising in that spot. He just hates it because I think his brain just wonders. Was it right? Was it wrong? Like I overheard him a little bit ago. He goes, "This is the longest I've ever been sitting at 900 like for 3 hours." He said, like either I've busted and reloaded or I'm like, you know, up double this.
Well, these guys can top off, right, whenever they want to, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe in the beginning of the year, but he hasn't during this promo. He hasn't been down. He's a super nice guy. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Not much of a player, but a really nice guy. I think I'm done.
We got about 18 minutes left in the night.
You know, one of the other things too, I mean, I always tell people, obviously, because we Twitch our podcasts, it wouldn't work quite as well for your guys' thing, but when you're on a mobile device like an iPhone or whatever, an iPad, and you know you watch Twitch videos, it really can eat up your battery a lot. But there's an option if you have the Twitch application where when you go to like, you know, Poker on Air, you know, you go to the Poker on Air channel and you just click on the gear icon, you can listen audio only with chat, and that will actually save your device from just draining down to nothing. So, you know, it's better than nothing. You know, you get the commentary and.
You thought Bart was only here for poker analysis. These are just great life hacks.
Even my administrator didn't even know how to do it. He texted me a few days ago. How do I do audio only? It's just the gear icon.
Looks like we lost the cards here.
Yeah, I'm button.
Does look like it. Well, better now than
Your first thing in the
4
night.
hours ago, right?
I think the last hand got a little screwed up. I think they're just trying to rectify it now.
Now the bet went 15.
There we go.
And then 50.
Rim Dog, he's calling you out, man.
All right.
Zach re-raising with 7-8 suited.
Turn like fives into a bluff or something. They turn fives into a bluff.
I still don't think Brad has really shown down too many hands. And plus Zach has obviously shown like he's one of the most aggressive guys at the table.
Heads up.
Oh. Well, at least Brad didn't flop anything.
Nothing like 3-betting and just
Getting there.
flopping the world.
See, this is where a spot where a lot of inexperienced lower level guys would check trip sevens behind here. And there's just no need for it because I feel like if Brad opens, you know, with ace king and he checks this board, he's not gonna fold, or he's not gonna fold anything that he opens and that he checks.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, people don't fold ace high a lot on paired boards, especially ace king and ace queen. So when you flop trips and the pre-flop raiser checks to you, if you think they're gonna call, you might as well bet, because why wait to the turn and then just raise them? You know, see something? It's just, it makes no sense. Now, did Brad just check raise Zach?
He did.
I think Brad's gonna. Sorry to say, Brad's a little bit lost here on this one. There's just the only reason why I would check raise here with ace king. You sometimes see it in a tournament is if you think that somehow you can get Zach off a hand like fives or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just I'm not a huge fan of the play.
I was wondering.
I think that Zach thinks that Brad's got an overpair and he just kind of clicks it back.
Yep.
I call it the aggressive action theorem sometimes, where sometimes players, when they raise post flop, they'll never fold. So maybe Zach thought, well, Brad's raised here, he's just never gonna fold. We'll just, boom, and there. Or if he is bluffing, he's not gonna bluff anymore. So, it is what it is with the way for Zach to play it. But you can see there though that Zach induces that play by playing his hand fast.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I'm a big proponent of playing fast.
Well,
Just because people are it's not 2005 anymore. Like people are people aren't just folding because they miss. I mean, like you said, Ace King is going to stick around a lot right there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 even, you know, spots like that. You know, they're just not folding, so play it fast. Get as much value you can.
What I was wondering is why, if you're going to check raise that flop, why wouldn't you 4-bet pre-flop
Good question.
with Ace King?
Come on.
He was out of position. Maybe there's a reason.
Well, so he got 3-bet by 7-8. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he raised.
Well,
He
then
was
it-
the original
yeah, but-
raiser and got re-raised and then just
Well, then-
flatted.
Then there's even more of a reason to not check raise the flop, because if he thinks that Zach is 3-betting light, then he's either ahead or he's behind with Ace King. He doesn't need to fold out anything. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's
Right.
like he either has the best hand or he doesn't. He doesn't need to raise to find out where he's at, or to get something that's better than his hand to fold. Because Zach 3-bet with like Ace 5. So what? All right, check call. That's what I would have done.
We're good now.
All right, we got the straddle on.
Raise it up to 30.
Now you can see the guys that are stuck a little bit, mixing it up a little bit now. Oh, Zach with a big hand now.
It's got to feel good, you know.
25.
He's probably our most aggressive player. I don't know if we're recording stats tonight or not, but I mean, he's been 3-betting and 4-betting way more than everybody else. So for him to get a big hand like this after basically an under the gun raise.
And Joe just gets rid of
Still
it.
gets respect though.
What's that? So excited to find out what all you guys had tomorrow. There hasn't even really been any good pots.
Yeah.
Are we down to 4-handed? Really?
I see 5 people there.
You guys clicked some buttons there for a second. That
Oh.
was cool.
I've been up so long, my eyes are getting blurry.
It's all
I
good.
mean, like, there hasn't been any really
Yeah, we got about 10 more minutes or so.
He might have just double folded me and left the river. I know you'll value that queen though, so I can't. So I know you'll value that queen.
I am proud of Brad though, for holding his own tonight. I mean, you guys are all pretty seasoned regs, and he's done pretty well. I mean, granted, he's had some serious good fortune, but he still is. He's bet his hands correctly and made tons of value off of them.
Brad raises Ace 5. Zach calls with Jack 8. Jesse calls with 7s.
3 players.
And Brad flops top bottom pair.
He
Yep.
looks so
He is
excited.
definitely held over here.
And Zach leads out.
45.
Yeah, this was a spot where Brad opened and it just went call, right? I was looking down
Yes.
at my Twitter.
Yep, call.
So yet again here, Troy, another example of Zach just kind of donk leading out just as a total bluff here, and maybe thinking that Brad, he's if he doesn't have an ace, he'll just fold. So
Yeah, it seems like Zach's really into the leading to pre-flop aggressor.
105.
and Brad will raise here. And this is what I was talking about when I talk about the aggressive action theory from a few hands before. Like if I was like Zach with pocket 5s here, once Brad raises, I never expect him to fold. Kind of like what happened last hand with the 7-8 when he check raised, although I didn't know that he had just called and it wasn't the pre-flop raiser. But, you know, if I did have a big hand there, I would have just re-raised him and I would never expect Brad to fold.
Yeah.
Must have wanted some big pots before I got in the game, huh? I mean, yeah. You really like played like a hand, you have like all the chips.
Yeah.
Let me go live straddle.
Yeah.
You want a big
Straddle is back on.
Chris getting a little ribbon there at the table for having all the chips and not playing any hands.
We got a lull in the moment here. I'd like to thank Jerry for dealing again for us. Jerry does an amazing job. He used to deal out in Vegas, WSOP? Is that what he
Yeah,
did?
he's dealt at the World Series before.
Nice.
A few times, I
It's
think.
nice when you have a dealer that's so good you just don't even notice him being there. Keeps the action
Well,
straight
it's kind of a catch-22 with the World Series because they need so many dealers each year that they have to hire people that have never really dealt before, and then the really good dealers that already have jobs in Las Vegas don't really deal the World Series events. So, it's just one. And then I play a lot of high stakes Omaha 8, like 75, 150 Omaha 8, that game that goes in the middle, and it's like they just throw people in there that have never dealt before. How about dealing a high stakes Omaha 8 game with a kill, with a 1/3 kill? It's tough.
Something is sort of subject maybe we shouldn't talk about it anymore.
Well, no, I try to be as nice as possible. It's just I don't really know whose fault it is. You know what I mean? It's just like
Right.
one of these things. Like, what are they gonna do? You know what I mean? It's just what can you do?
Yeah, it's like
Um,
I used to coach travel softball, and you get to big tournaments. It was the same thing. There was only so many umpires you could have
Right,
in an area
right.
that even
Yeah.
knew what they were doing.
Yeah, right.
The other thing too about the Rio, like guys don't like to play no limit cash games there, is because, again, like you're dealing with dealers that haven't really dealt. Not like no limit's really that hard to deal, but then there's also no shuffle machines there too. So
Yeah. If we start ushering in all those tables out there, it's they're just standard pop-up tables. They don't have all the fancy stuff that everyone else would.
Although I think that they started putting shuffle machines in certain tournament tables last year, or in the main event, or something.
All right, well, we're down to about our last 5 minutes or so. Want to remind everybody to stop in next Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern till 11 o'clock Eastern. Are we running the satellite next week? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I don't think we finalized what we're doing next week. Let's just bring these guys back. It's pretty fun to watch.
Maybe we could get them just to bring their 2-5 game down here.
I'm sure they would love that. Rake free. There goes Zach, 3-betting again.
By the way, I used to umpire. We were
Oh,
said that in
really?
the chat. Not softball, but baseball. Yeah.
I repped
Yeah,
one.
I did it for a long time since I was 13 all the way till 22. I was really good at it too. I was actually considering going down. The thing with baseball is it's different than all the other sports. You don't work your way up through college. If you want to become a pro ump, you have to go to a pro school in Florida and work your way up through the minors. And there's no guarantee. You could be the best umpire in the world, make it up to AAA, and if nobody retires
Yeah, they're stuck
within
in the jobs.
5
in there,
years, you're done. They retire you. So I was like, am I gonna make $800 a month in my 20s to basically not be merit based? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Any
massive horror stories out there umpiring?
Not really. I mean, baseball umpiring is more about getting in position to make calls as opposed to knowing the rule book inside and out like it is in football. Although I know the rule book inside and out in baseball, but a lot of people just don't, because the rules don't come out really in baseball all that much, like they do in football, where now in football, you get these referees in the commentary booth now, for every game, which is good because I'm like a rules guy, but it's just also the least lucrative amateur sport to officiate too, because it takes the longest. The games take the longest. Like if you're a basketball referee, a varsity basketball referee, high school referee, you always do double headers. You do 2 games. It takes like an hour to an hour and a half per game. Well, in baseball you get paid the same, but the games are 7 innings, so it could be like 3 hours. You never do a double header, so it's just slow.
And the problem with that in this area is they used to have 2 umpires every game. They almost always have 1 umpire now for a high school baseball game.
For a varsity game, really?
For a varsity even.
And do they're behind the plate, or do they go behind the rubber?
Behind the plate.
Luckily,
and it's
that's
so
amazing.
hard. Yeah, it's so hard to get out and cover everything.
Luckily, I never had to
you
deal with
can't
that
cover everything.
during my high school years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, my father umpired some high school baseball, and it was just brutal. You know, you're behind the plate calling balls and strikes, and there's a steal in second base, and they're safe 90% of the time because you can't see anything.
My favorite hand, 10-8 suited, gets it done. But just a reminder, I think we are going to be doing an interview with Donnie Stern this week or possibly next week. So those of you tuning in, we will have him our interview streaming live next Tuesday, I do believe. If not, we'll have it sometime soon. Either way, we do have an interview lined up with him. Just got to nail down when we're going to do it.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, we did Jay Rosenkrantz about a month and a half or so ago, and we said, hey, who do you know we could reach out to that would be interested in Stern was the first one he put our direction, so looking to nail that down.
Looks like you guys are ending just at the right time because I think Daniel Negreanu is starting twitching right now.
Yeah, someone said he's streaming play money. I don't know if
I don't know.
Unless someone's trolling us or what, but I did hear he was live. So
seems like everybody and their brother is on Twitch doing something these days. But you know, for a show like this, it's great because it's different. Like I said, it's different than all. I mean, I just don't understand people watching unknowns play. 5 cent, 10 cent on some rogue site.
We've got a 4-bet here. Joe 3-bet with 10-8.
Yeah, that's my favorite hand.
Chris 4-bet it with ace queen.
Well, I mean, Joe's not deep enough to call the effective stacks, especially from out of position. And yet again, we see, like I said, if you guys are watching this, like when it's archived, when it comes out later on, this game is pretty much unlike any 2-5 game I've seen. Like 5 and 6 bet bluffs. We've seen half a dozen turn semi-bluff raises. That's just not typical play at 2-5. I don't know if it's a combination of really good players around coming this game or them trying to play their best in this game, but you don't usually see this much mixing it up at this level, from my experience. A 6-bet fold, remember from before?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think he's gonna let this go.
See if he shows the 8.
Yes,
he's gonna show
shows both.
All right, this will be our last hand of the night.
All right.
Well, as we shuffle up and get ready to do them out, we just want to thank Bart Hanson so much for hanging out with us. 4 hours, hang out with us, our little motley crew, putting a little show together.
I used to 4 hours a day, 5 days a week back in 2006 without a bathroom break. I mean, not every day. I mean, I went to the bathroom in between days, but yeah. So it's something that it's kind of like riding a bike.
Well, either way, we obviously we appreciate it so much. Your influence has really helped our brand tonight. Obviously, getting tons of extra viewers tonight. So moving forward, we definitely have you to thank for that.
Well, great. I mean, hopefully I can do some of these hands here, and we can have a great partnership going into the future.
Yeah, I think we had a couple of fun ones tonight.
I know I've learned a lot just sitting here.
Yeah.
No king, no nine.
The 10-8 has been in someone's hand the last 3 times.
I should have made it like 380. That's good. That's a good price. Just take a call.
55.
Huh?
I wasn't in a flat.
Run a, I kind of figured you had that kind of playable hand. but
55.
You understand that.
And Zach is going to play a reverse float. So this is what we talked about before sometimes when you can call, and if it goes check, check on the turn, maybe you bet the river. I don't like doing that, though, when there's a front door flush draw out there, because I feel like guys will call you with ace high on the river. Like if Jesse had ace king and he checked it back here, and then you bet out like on a 9. Yeah, so guys will call and think that you have missed clubs. So,
Right.
But now it looks like Zach's playing a stop and go. Again, you never see this at 2-5. Rarely ever see it at 5-10. He's gonna stop and go with 10-8 here.
165.
Stack. I mean, there's 644 left here. I mean, normally you would call here with jacks and determine whether you're gonna call here at the end. But with these guys, who knows? Maybe he's going to raise and try to induce a shove with 10 high. You know what I mean? He does just call.
This is, said 165? Oh, 161.
This should be interesting.
Oh, river's a
What a river.
4. I mean, I think Jesse has a fair amount of ace highs in his range when he calls the turn, which are, gut shot wheel draws. I don't know if that's the best bluff card here for Zach, because do you think you're going to get a guy off of an ace now? 320 here. I mean, Jesse, is he really making this sizing with anything but a 6? Yeah, he's going to get called.
Yeah, he got called.
Wow. Pretty good last hand.
Yeah, these guys were kind of getting a little bit out of control in a good way.
Well, we definitely enjoyed it, that for sure. But that's going to be our show tonight. Thank you again to Bart Hanson, tuning in through Skype all the way from Los Angeles. Your expertise was second to none. We do appreciate it a ton. And
Well, great guys, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. I hope to do it again. Maybe once before the series. We're gonna be at the World Series Crush Light Poker on when it starts on May 22nd, and we'll have the booth, and we'll do some commercials, and then for anybody who wants to improve their game, check out crushlightpoker.com, and hopefully we'll have some poker on air hands coming up here in the future on it. So.
that'd be great.
All right.
So for Paul Boston, I am Trevor Greenewalt. Thank you for tuning in. Follow us, and if you have followed already, thank you so much. But until next Tuesday, have a good night.
Goodbye.
Good night.